Jackson's ship was broken. Fire and smoke filled the sky as it crashed onto the strange alien planet. He had no choice. The engine was dead, and he had to jump out before it exploded. He rolled down a rocky hill, dirt in his mouth, hands bleeding. His heart was beating fast. Around him, everything was gray sky, gray sand, gray hills. It looked like a dead world. No trees, no water. No sounds. Jackson stood up slowly and checked his bag. A knife, a small flashlight, and one bottle. Of water, no radio signal. No help. He looked at the hills in the distance. One of them had a dark hole like a cave. Maybe he could hide there, rest for the night. The sun was going down, and the air was getting cold. Very cold. He started walking. The wind blew strong. It carried dust into his eyes. He pulled his jacket tighter and kept moving. After an hour, he reached the cave. It was deep and dark. He stepped inside slowly, holding his flashlight. The air was warmer inside. Quiet, too quiet. He took a few more steps, then stopped. He heard something. Click, soft breathing. A low sound like a whisper mixed with a growl. He turned his light toward the sound. Their two small glowing eyes. Jackson froze. The eyes didn't move. They just stared at him from the dark. "Who's there?" he asked, voice shaking. No answer. He moved the light slowly. Now he saw a figure, hiding in the shadows. Not human, not animal. Thin arms, smooth skin, and long black hair. She was holding something. 3 small shapes. Children. Alien children. The woman pushed them behind her and growled again. Jackson held up his hands. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said. "I crashed. I'm just looking for shelter." The woman looked at him with tired red eyes. She looked scared, but she didn't attack. She spoke. Her voice was rough and slow. "Human. No harm?" He nodded. "No harm, I promise." She looked at her children, then back at him. She was shaking. Her skin was pale and had strange glowing lines. "They are cold. They are sick," she said. "Please do not leave." Jackson was surprised. She spoke broken English. He stepped closer and saw the children better now. One of them was coughing. Another looked too weak to sit up. "What happened to you?" he asked. She looked down. "Hunted. My people gone. I hide here, long time. No food left, no help." He looked at the children. They were thin. Too thin. He gave her his water bottle. She took it slowly, then gave it to the children. They drank fast. Then she looked at him. Her eyes were full of fear and pain. "Be father," she said. Jackson's mouth dropped open. "What? Be father to them," she repeated. "Protect, teach, stay." He didn't know what to say. Was this a trick? Was she dangerous? He stepped back. I don't even know you." She looked down again. "If you leave, they die." Jackson looked at the cave walls. He saw scratches on the stone, like claws. Something had been trying to get in. "What's out there?" He asked. She looked toward the entrance and whispered, "Hunters. They smell blood. They wait." Just then, a deep roar echoed from outside. A loud, awful sound, like a beast. It shook the ground. Jackson turned and ran to the cave entrance. He looked out into the hills. Nothing. Just dust. Then he saw a shape on the ridge. Tall, 4 legs. Long tail. Watching. The shape growled again. Jackson stepped back inside and looked at the alien mother. "You weren't lying." She didn't answer. She just held her children close. He sat down near the entrance. He didn't know what he was doing. But he couldn't leave now. Not yet. The cave was dark. The outside world was colder, and somewhere out there, something was hunting. He took a deep breath. "Okay," he said. "Just for one night." The alien mother closed her eyes and whispered, "Thank you." That night, Jackson couldn't sleep. He kept hearing sounds: footsteps on stone, growls in the wind, whispers in the dark, and the children. They kept calling to their mother in a soft language. He couldn't understand the words, but he could feel the fear in their voices. As he sat near the entrance, knife in hand, he thought about Earth, about his old life, about how everything had changed in just one day. He looked back at the cave, at the alien family huddled in the dark. Maybe this wasn't just a crash. Maybe he was here for a reason. Jackson opened his eyes to the sound of breathing, heavy, fast, close. But it wasn't the alien mother. It was something outside the cave. Froze. The fire was out. The cave was dark. The children were asleep, huddled close to their mother. But outside, just beyond the entrance, something was sniffing the air. Slow, deep sniffs, then claws, scratching rock. Sharp, scraping sounds. Jackson didn't move. His hand reached for his knife. Then, without warning, a loud growl shook the cave walls. The alien mother woke up, eyes wide. "It found us," she whispered. Jackson turned his flashlight on. He pointed it toward the cave mouth, and for a second, he saw it. A creature, tall, black skin like burned stone, red eyes, teeth long and dripping. Then it was gone. Sometime later, after the danger passed, the sun came up weak and red. Jackson sat outside the cave, tired and dirty, watching the quiet hills. The alien mother came and sat beside him. Her name, he learned, was Vela. For a while, neither spoke. Then she said softly, "You ask why I beg?" Jackson looked at her. "Yeah, why me?" "You don't know me. I'm human. You're not." She looked at the hills. Her face was calm, but her voice was full of pain. "My kind once lived in the sky. We had ships, cities, peace." Jackson listened. She didn't speak fast, but her words carried weight. "Then the fire beasts came. They burned our homes, took our people. My mate died fighting them." Her hands shook. She looked at her children inside the cave. "We ran, we hid. Others ran too. But only I remain." Jackson looked down. "I'm sorry." She nodded once, then looked into his eyes. "You look at me with fear. I understand. I am strange to you. But my children, they are like all children. They need warmth, food, a protector." Jackson stayed quiet. Vela took a deep breath. "When I saw you, I saw hope, not soldier, not human. I saw someone alive, someone strong." He looked at her again. "And that's why you asked me to be their father?" She nodded. "Not for me, for them." Jackson sighed. "But I'm not like you. I don't know how to live here. I can't speak your language. I don't even know if I can stay alive long enough to help." Vela stood up and walked back inside. She returned a moment later with something wrapped in cloth. She gave it to Jackson. Inside was a picture, not a drawing. A hologram, faint and flickering. It showed Vela with her mate, a tall male of her kind, holding the children, smiling. "This was the last moment we had before the war," she said. "He was kind. He gave me joy. He said, if I fall, you must find another protector." Jackson looked at the photo, then back at the sleeping children. Vela's voice dropped to a whisper. "They do not need a warrior. They need someone who will not leave." Suddenly, a loud click-click echoed in the cave. Jackson stood up fast. "What was that?" Vela looked around, her face pale. "Not beast. Not wind. That was a tracker." Jackson's heart jumped. "Oh, what?" She grabbed the cloth and covered the photo. "The hunters. They use sound tags to find survivors." That was a scan. He moved toward the entrance. "So, they're coming?" She nodded. "Soon." Jackson looked out at the hills. They were quiet again, but he knew something was moving out there. Watching. Getting closer. He turned to Vela. "I'll stay, but we fight together." Vela looked surprised. "You stay?" He nodded. "Just running won't work anymore. We need a plan, traps, weapons, and I need to teach you how to fight. Vela stepped closer. Her voice was soft. You would teach me like a human mate? Jackson gave a small smile. Like a human partner, she nodded. Then I learn. That evening, they worked side by side. Jackson showed her how to sharpen stones, how to make noise alarms from scrap metal, and how to use his broken ship parts for defense. Vela taught him how to read the cave mark symbols left by her people. Warnings, maps, memories. They found a hidden room deeper in the cave, full of old supplies, dried food, blankets, even a water tank. That night, they ate a full meal for the first time. The children laughed soft little alien laughs like wind chimes. Jackson felt something strange in his chest. Not fear, not duty, something like family. He looked at them and didn't feel like a stranger anymore. It started with the smell. Jackson opened his eyes in the middle of the night. The cave felt colder than before, too cold. Then he smelled something, like wet ash and burned metal. He sat up slowly, listening. No wind, no whispers, no breathing. Fire was out. The cave was silent. He looked beside him. Vela and the children were gone. 10 seconds of pure fear filled his chest. Then he heard it, a soft voice echoing from the deeper tunnels. Jackson. It was Vela, barely a whisper. Shaky, afraid. He grabbed his flashlight and followed the voice. The beam of light shook in his hand. The cave walls were wet. Strange mist curled at his feet. He turned a corner and froze. The air was thick with fog. Vela stood at the far end of the tunnel. Her back was to him. And something was behind her. Tall, shadowed, still. Vela. He shouted. She turned, eyes wide. It's in the cave. Hours earlier, the fog had rolled in from the hills. It wasn't natural. It was cold, heavy, and moved like a living thing. Jackson had never seen anything like it. Vela looked worried. This is how they hunt, she said. The mist, it is part of them. Jackson didn't understand. Mist? You mean this fog is alive? Not alive, she said, but controlled. The children coughed. The air was too cold for them. Jackson blocked the cave entrance with rocks and metal sheets. This will slow them down, but not stop them. Then Vela said something that chilled him. They don't just come for me. They come for you now too. Back in the cave tunnel, Jackson faced the shadow. He couldn't see its full body, but he saw the eyes red and wide. Not glowing like Vela's. These were sharp, hungry. He threw his flashlight at it and ran to Vela. The creature moved. Fast. It scraped the wall with long claws as it chased them. Jackson pulled Vela behind him. Run, go to the kids. They ran through the tunnels, heartbeats echoing like war drums. The mist followed them, covering the walls, filling the air. They reached the sleeping area. The children were crying. Jackson turned back and raised his knife, but nothing came. The mist stopped at the edge of the room. They waited. Minutes passed, then hours. Vela watched the tunnel. Jackson stood guard, knife still in hand. What was that thing? He asked. She spoke slowly. We called them fog walkers. They were made by other aliens, created for war. They don't need ships. They move with mist. They find survivors. They don't leave witnesses. Jackson shivered. So why are we still alive? Vela looked at her children. Because we're not easy prey anymore. The next day, they prepared. Jackson built traps from broken wires, stones, and sharp metal. He used old human tricks, noise alarms, foot spikes, hidden pits. Vela showed him old alien symbols to mark danger zones. She even used her glowing blood to power a weak force field at the back of the cave. The children helped too. One of them found pieces of armor from old times, small but strong. They were not just hiding now. They were planning to fight. That night, the fog came again. Thicker. Faster. It poured into the cave like a silent wave. Then, Nothing. Just silence. Until they heard it click, click, click. Footsteps on stone. Slow, sharp, getting closer. Jackson whispered, "Traps ready?" Vela nodded. "All set." They waited. Then, a loud snap. Screams. One of the traps had caught something. Jackson rushed forward and saw it, one of the fog walkers. Its leg was trapped in metal. It screamed in a horrible high-pitched voice. Jackson didn't hesitate. He stabbed it through the neck. It went still. The fog began to fade. Vela looked at Jackson. "You fight like my mate once did." He looked at her, breathing hard. "I'm not your mate. I'm just a man trying to survive." She stepped closer. "No, you are a man who protects." He didn't know what to say. The children ran to them and hugged Jackson. For a second, he forgot about Earth, forgot about going home. In that dark, foggy cave, he felt like a father, even if he wasn't one yet. It was midnight when the sound came. Beep, beep, beep. Not from the cave. Not from outside. It came from inside Jackson's chest. He sat up fast, heart racing. The noise was faint, like a heartbeat made of metal. He pulled open his shirt and looked at the small device on his collarbone, an old human rescue tag, injected under his skin. It hadn't made a sound in weeks, but now it was alive and flashing. Someone had found him, or something had found his signal. 3 hours earlier, the fog had left. For now, Jackson sat near the cave entrance, sharpening his blade. Vela was teaching her youngest how to read old cave runes. The other two played quietly with stones and alien toys. It almost felt peaceful. Until Jackson heard the soft ping. He pulled his old gear from a hidden crate. Inside, the broken human compad blinked. It had never done that before. The cracked screen glowed faint blue. Then words appeared. Signal received. Human ID, Jackson Cole. We are coming. Jackson's eyes narrowed. Rescue team? He looked at Vela. She was watching him quietly. He showed her the screen. She frowned. That language is not fully human. Jackson looked closer. Another message appeared. Prepare for extraction. Time, 18 hours. Back to the present. Jackson couldn't sleep. His mind was racing. If it was a rescue ship, why now? Why after so long? And why did the words look wrong? He remembered something Vela once told him. Some alien species had copied human language, used it to trick survivors, lure them out. He stared at the blinking tag in his skin. What if this was bait? He looked at the children, asleep in a warm pile of blankets. Then at Vela, sitting at the edge of the firelight, her face half in shadow. He spoke softly. What if the ones who sent that signal aren't here to save me? Vela didn't answer right away. Then she said, then we must make them think you are already dead. They worked all morning. Jackson turned off the signal tag, buried the compad under heavy stone. He built a fake camp outside the cave, with burned clothes, broken gear, and fake human bones made from carved rock. Vela helped smear alien blood over everything. They will think the beast got you, she said. Jackson looked at her. You're too good at this. I had to learn, she said. To survive. He looked down. I used to believe someone would come. That Earth would find me. Bring me home. Vela stepped closer. Maybe you are already home. He didn't know how to answer. Later that night, something new appeared in the sky. A black ship. Silent. No lights. No engine roared. It moved like a shadow across the stars. Then it stopped. Floating above the hills. No landing lights. No human voice on the radio. Just one message, sent again and again. Jackson, we found you. Come alone. Jackson stared at it. It was not a rescue ship. It looked like it had been built from bones. Do you trust me? Jackson asked Vela. She nodded without pause. With my life. Then I need you to hide, deeper in the cave. She touched his hand. You cannot go to them alone. I won't, he said. I'll go as bait. He walked out into the night. Fog rolled in again. But this fog was different. Heavier. Electric. The ship hovered above, silent as a grave. Jackson raised his hands. Suddenly, a voice spoke in perfect English, too perfect. "Jackson, Earth calls you home." Then a figure stepped from the fog. It wore a human suit, but moved wrong, too smooth, too quiet. Its face was Jackson's face. "Your mission is complete," it said. "Come with us. Bring the others." Jackson stared at his own eyes, cold, empty. He gripped his hidden knife. "Yeah," he said. "Let me just say goodbye first." Then he threw a flash bomb. Boomlight filled the fog. He ran back to the cave, and behind him came the copy. Inside the cave, Vela stood ready. Traps were set. Weapons charged. And Jackson had one plan left. If these things wanted a family, they'd get a very angry one, together. The fake Jackson stepped into the cave. Same face, same voice, same walk, but not the same soul. Vela stood in the shadows, holding her breath. Her youngest child hid behind her, holding a sharp bone like a knife. Jackson whispered from behind. "Rock, wait for my signal." The fake Jackson called out, calm and cold. "I'm home now. You don't have to be afraid. Come out." Its eyes scanned the cave, glowing faint red. But it made one mistake. It stepped on a stone with a thin wire attached. Click. From above, a heavy net made of scrap metal dropped onto it. Sharp pieces cut into its fake skin. The copy screamed high and robotic. The real Jackson stepped out with a steel spear. "Wrong family, freak." He stabbed the copy through the chest of it. Didn't bleed. Instead, it hissed, twisted its neck 180 degrees, and said in a glitching voice, "Target identified. More units arriving." Then it exploded into dust far above the planet. Inside the black ship, many red eyes opened. One spoke in a deep voice. "The human has chosen the alien mother. Begin full harvest." Back in the cave, minutes later, the sky outside turned dark. Not from clouds. From ships. 3 of them, sharp, black, silent. They moved like birds made of knives. Jackson stared up at them. "They're not rescuers. They're a hunting party." Vela nodded. "They want the children, for their DNA, for control." Jackson looked at the kids, afraid, huddled, clutching each other. He felt rage rise in his chest. "They're not taking them." Preparation began fast. Jackson handed out masks made from old filters. Vela gave the children armor pieces from their ancient cave armor. They lit the entrance with bright lights and set traps everywhere. "We can't outrun them," Jackson said. "So we make them bleed." Vela smiled a fierce, sad smile. "Then, let us make them bleed like never before." Then the first enemy entered. It wasn't human. Tall, thin, with a glass head full of moving lights. It spoke in 3 voices at once. "Give the children. The male may live." Jackson laughed. "No deal." He shot it in the head. The creature exploded in a burst of black smoke. More came, dozens. Running, crawling, some on walls, some with wings. The battle began. Inside the chaos, Vela used a double-blade staff. She moved fast, dancing between enemies, protecting her children. Jackson fought like a soldier and a father. Every time an enemy got close to the children, he roared with rage. Traps went off, spikes, blasts, falling rocks. The cave shook. One of the alien children cried, "Papa." Jackson turned, grabbed the child, and rolled as a blast hit the wall. Behind them, dust filled the air. They were winning, but barely. Then a new enemy came, not a soldier. A leader. It floated down from the sky. A long robe, 6 arms. No face. It spoke inside Jackson's mind. "Give her to us. She carries the key. She is not your kind." Jackson fell to his knees. Blood came from his nose. Vela screamed. She stabbed the leader in the chest. Nothing. The creature turned toward her. It raised one hand to kill. But before it could strike Jackson, he lifted the last power cell from his ship, glowing, overloaded, a small, deadly bomb. He threw it straight at the leader's chest. Boom. Light filled the sky. Silence. Smoke, fire, dust, bodies everywhere. Jackson lay on the ground, bleeding. He looked around. Vela? She crawled to him. Her face burned, her hands shaking. We are alive, she said. The children came, crying, hugging them both. They had won, but the sky above still glowed red. Jackson whispered, "They'll be back." Vela held his hand. "Then we stay ready." Later that night, they buried the enemies in a deep pit. Jackson fixed the entrance again. This time stronger. Vela sat beside him. "You did not have to fight," he looked at her. "I did. Because I'm not just a soldier now." He looked at the children, laughing. Softly in the distance, "I'm a father." Jackson woke up to a small hand holding his finger. It was the youngest child. Eyes glowing soft blue, smiling. "Papa." The child whispered just one word. Jackson didn't move, not from pain but from shock. He had been called many things in his life: soldier, survivor, human, but never Papa. 3 days had passed since the sky battle. They had survived. The enemy ships were gone. For now, the cave was damaged but standing. Jackson had patched up the cracks. Vela fixed the water system. The children stopped crying in their sleep. Things were quiet, almost too quiet. Jackson sat outside the cave, sharpening a metal spear. He looked at the red sky above and felt strange. No orders, no humans, no mission. Just an alien mother and her 3 children who looked at him like he belonged. Vela walked up and sat beside him. Her skin glowed faint in the sun. She handed him something, a small stone, smooth and carved with symbols. He looked at it. "What is it?" he asked. "It's your name," she said. "In my language." Jackson stared at it. "How do you say it?" She touched his chest. "Protector, builder, firewalker." He smiled. "Sounds better than crash victim number 4. Vela tilted her head. "You joke like human, but your soul feels closer now." Jackson paused, then said quietly, "I don't feel human anymore." Not fully. That night, they lit a fire. Inside the cave, the children sat close, watching Jackson as he told a story. A human story, one from Earth. It was about a man who got lost, found strange people, and became their hero. The children laughed. One of them sat in his lap. Another copied his voice. Vela listened, smiling softly. "You bring them joy." "That is rare on this planet." Jackson looked at her. "They bring me something too." "What?" He thought for a moment. "Purpose." Later, after the children slept, Vela showed Jackson something she had never shared before. A hidden tunnel. Deep underground. At the end, a chamber full of glowing crystals and floating stones. "This is the heart of my people," she said. "A memory chamber. Our past lives here." Jackson looked around, amazed. It felt alive, like the walls were breathing. She placed her hand on a stone, and a vision appeared in the air. Her planet before the war. Green skies, bright towers, flying creatures, music. Jackson saw her young, laughing, holding her mates. Hand. Then came the fire, explosions, screams, ships falling. The vision faded. Jackson looked at her. "Why show me this?" Vela answered. "Because now, you are part of the story too." The next morning, Jackson woke up early. He stepped outside and saw something strange. The children were building something, a small statue of him. Rough, made of stone and scrap metal. One of them pointed. "Papa strong," another said. "Papa save cave." He laughed, but part of him wanted to cry. That day, he made a choice. He took apart his old signal beacon, the one that could still call Earth. Vela watched him. "You are sure?" He nodded. "I already found what I was calling for." She stepped closer. "What did you find?" He looked at her, at the children, at the cave. a place to belong. But peace never lasts long on a broken planet. As the stars came out, the sky turned dark again. This time, not from ships. From a shadow shaped like a world, a giant object moving across space, heading for their valley. Vela looked up and her face changed. That is not a hunter, she whispered. That is a god. Jackson gripped his weapon. Whatever it was, he would fight it. Because now he wasn't just surviving. He was a father. The sky looked like it was breaking. It wasn't just dark anymore. It was cracked. Lines of light spread through the clouds, blue, gold, and black. Like lightning, but slower. Alive. The children stared upward, silent. Even Vela stepped back. Jackson held his spear tighter. What is that? Vela's voice was barely a whisper. A world eater. Hours earlier, Jackson had just buried the last of the fallen machines. He and Vela had made the cave strong again. Traps, weapons, food stored. He had even made a new fire pit where they could sit and laugh. But then the stars started to vanish, one by one. As if something big was covering them. He climbed to the top of the hill and saw it, a massive shadow in the sky. So big it looked like a floating mountain. No engines, no wings. Just presence, like a god, like a threat. And from it, a message. Not on his radio, not on any screen, straight into his mind. You are not one of them. Come, return to your kind, or be erased. Vela watched him pace. She could feel the fear in his chest. He was shaking. Jackson, she said, you don't have to fight this. He looked at her. I might not have a choice. They are calling you. Because you are human. He nodded. But am I still? She stepped closer. You are more than human now. Then came the drop pod. A single pod fell from the giant ship above. It landed quietly just outside the cave. From it stepped a woman. Human. Real. She wore a clean suit. Carried a badge that read, LT. Rima Torres, Earth Recovery Division. She smiled at Jackson. We found you. She was kind. She offered him food, medicine, and a seat on the next ship home. She looked at the cave, the children, Vela, and sighed. You've done your job. We'll take them from here. You can go back to Earth, Jackson asked. What will you do with them? Rima's smile never broke. Study them. Protect them, of course. He knew that tone. He had used it once, back in the war. The tone humans used before dropping bombs. That night, Jackson stood outside the cave, staring up at the World Eater ship. He remembered home, clean water, blue skies, music, laughter. Remembered his old name, his old life, but when he turned back, he saw Vela, watching the children sleep. He saw the small statue they made of him. He saw his life now. Rima walked up beside him. Final choice, Jackson. Are you coming with me? He looked at her. Then looked at the cave. And said, no. Rima didn't get angry. She just nodded. Understood. Then she pressed a button. The ground shook. The World Eater began to move again. This time, to attack. Rima disappeared into light, beamed back to her ship. And Jackson ran back to his family. The final battle began. The sky turned gold. The air burned. Beams of light fell like swords, but Jackson had prepared. He and Vela led the children into the hidden tunnels. He triggered every trap, every bomb, every last bit of tech he had. He used his knowledge, his rage, his love. And when the great machine sent its final weapon, a creature of fire and steel, Jackson stood in its path. He didn't run. He didn't hide. He roared, "This is my family." And he fought. The world did not end. The World Eater left. Damaged. Wounded. Beaten by a man with no ship, no army, no power, only will. 1 year later, the cave had grown. It was a home now, with gardens, lights, laughter. Jackson sat by the fire, holding the smallest child in his lap. Vela sat beside him, reading a human book, and above them, the sky was peaceful. For now he was not on Earth, but he was home. Not a soldier, not a survivor. Not just human. He was a father, of aliens, of hope. Something new,